What is going on, everyone? Today we are going to be tier ranking every single character from The Walking Dead. Now, this is every character that I deem to be an actual, substantial character. Not even substantial, just has a character to them, has some sort of characterization. These are all the characters we got right here from Season 1 all the way up to, kind of late Season 9. There isn't any, Season 10 or 11 characters here because there hasn't really been that many characters even added in those seasons. I just found the tier ranker that had, in my opinion, the best looking images and had the most amount of characters that I want to talk about. The only other characters that were added in season 10 and 11, Virgil, you have Princess, and of course the new Commonwealth characters. I guess I can mention them quickly at the end of the video, but I don't really think any of them are that amazing of characters anyways, so it's not that big of a deal. Some of them are, not all of them though. So we're going to do this all the way through. I'm not going to do, I'm sorry, Dog and Shiva, but I don't know how to talk about them. They're animals. I don't know. They don't have a characterization to them. They're just animals that just are cool. Okay, cool. Also, I'm ranking them on their character, not how much I like them as a person. I'm not the type of person who views TV as I'm basically in the universe and who am I going to be friends with? Or no, that's not how I rank them. So I can rank a villainous, horrible character in S tier while ranking some really nice, sweetheart person in D tier. It's based on how interesting they are as characters, how well written are they, how well is the acting from the character. That is what matters to me. I don't care how nice they are. I don't care how likable and friendly they are. It's how interesting are they as a character. So let's get into this. Rick Grimes, obviously S tier. I don't have to even really go into this one. I think you guys can probably know why. He is one of my favorite characters in fiction in general. Actually, he might be my favorite. I think he has the best characterization, the best development of any person. He goes from so many different states of his mentality throughout the entire series. He's this leader character, so of course he has a lot of responsibility on his hands, and seeing him going from being a peaceful person to being just crazy in some seasons to the point where he's ripping out people's throats with his mouth, to him being kind of good again and then going a little bit insane again after people he dies that are close to him. And then I think the way they ended his character, at least to the point where they ended it in the show, was perfect, and I just hope he comes back just so we can have a reunion and have it be all good there. But at least the point they left him off on was a good point where he was a good person who was being a good leader, even though he's made plenty of mistakes in the past. And I love how he's that type of character who has made plenty of mistakes. That's what makes him more interesting, is that he does make mistakes. He's not perfect. He's done plenty of awful things. I think we have witnessed him do plenty of awful things. I mean, especially in season 8, he was doing things that I was like, yo, what are you doing, bro? Chopping that one dude with the axe. I was like, are you kidding me? He's our main character, and sometimes we don't root for him, and that was one of those cases, and I love that. I love that about the character. He is really deep. Andrew Lincoln is an incredible actor, so that obviously helps. He's badass. I mean, come on, there's no other tier for him, obviously. Morgan is also going to go into S tier. I'm only ranking him based on his Walking Dead version, because the Fear the Walking Dead version, I've only seen up to season 6, so I haven't seen season 7 yet, but I mean, he's fine in Fear. I don't think he's as interesting as he was in The Walking Dead. I liked his character a lot more in The Walking Dead. In Fear, he seems more just I don't know. He was good in a couple episodes here and there, but for the most part, I just see him as another Fear character. I don't really find that much interest in his Fear version. But in the main show, he is incredible. He has so many different changes in his mental state, just like Rick does. But it makes a lot of sense for him and why it's such an extreme change, because he clearly has a ton of mental illness going on, all because of a lot of PTSD he experienced from seeing his own son get killed. And I think that side of his character is incredibly interesting. A lot of people kind of misunderstand his character. They call him inconsistently written because he goes from being all life is precious to wanting to kill literally every human being on the planet very frequently. He kind of changes that mental state, but that's because of that clear mental illness that he has. It's explained pretty well, in my opinion, just by watching the damn show, but they don't put it on a silver platter for you to spoon feed off of it. But not everyone is able to pick up on it, but to me it's pretty clear that's the type of character he is, and I think he's written pretty perfectly. And Lenny James, phenomenal actor, so that helps a lot. Lori Grimes, this was one that I don't really understand the hate for her. I really don't. Even if we're just talking on a likability scale, how likable is she as a person, I don't understand why everyone hates Lori so much. I don't think she's the most interesting character in the world, but she's not like this awful character that deserves to be a D or even F tier like I think a lot of people would. I don't get it. I mean, you watch the show, in the beginning you're like kind of against her because you're like, whoa, she's sleeping with another guy, Rick's best friend, right after the accident. But when you start to learn more and you start to learn that, you know, Shane is the type of person he is, you learn that he was lying to her, you kind of understand her a little bit more, and you're not really against her. At least for me, I wasn't like, oh, she's a terrible person. I was more like, yeah, she's making mistakes, but she's not terrible. But honestly, her little love triangle with Rick and Shane in season 1 and 2, I think was the most interesting part of season 1 and 2, which is why I'm putting her on B tier, because she is a really interesting character in those 2 seasons, and she obviously dies really early on in season 3, and I thought the way they did that was executed perfectly, and her impact on the show was massive. That death was huge. It impacted Rick for a long time, and obviously Carl and Judith as well going forward. So I thought her character was great. I don't know. I'm not going to say A or S because she's not like that interesting. She didn't have too much screen time past those seasons because obviously she wasn't there anymore. But when she was there, I was always entertained by her character. Yes, she's done stupid things. She crashed a car with no one there, but it's like, okay, that doesn't make her character bad. That just is a moment of stupidity that I think was pretty clear. Shane. Easy S. Easy S, man. He was the highlight of season 2 in my opinion. He was by far the best part of season 2. This is another example of one of those characters that is a piece of shit, but he is incredibly interesting. And I mean, John Bernthal, obviously being an incredible actor, also helped that a ton. I mean, it's for a lot of these is incredible acting that's helping these characters out. But yeah, his arc in season 2 was the best part of season 2. Like, that season is one of those seasons that I didn't like a lot when it was first out, but as time went on, I liked it a lot more, mainly because of Shane's part in it, and his death was perfectly executed. And again, that catalyst of his death kind of went on for the rest of the show. So it had big meaning, had big purpose, and yeah, I love that character, man. Everything with Shane, Lori, and Rick in season 1 and 2 was phenomenal. Now we're gonna get Carl. Carl's the next one. This is the one where I differ on, I think, a lot of other people. I'm not going to say D, but I'm going to say C. I really don't give a shit about Carl in The Walking Dead. Now, seasons 1 through, like, 4, Carl, I liked a lot. I did. I really enjoyed his character. I liked pretty much everything about him. Once we got to, like, season 5 onward, up until his death, I just couldn't get into him. And I don't want to, you know, shit on Chandler Riggs as an actor, because I think he did his best. I just could never get into his performance as Carl. I just couldn't. And he even admitted it himself in multiple interviews that he didn't try as hard as he wished he did, and he thinks that's part of the reason why he might have gotten killed off. I don't know. I wasn't that into his character. I never was. And they didn't really give him much to do either, to be honest. Like, I always felt like comic Carl was miles better. And the age didn't even make sense either, because he was supposed to be like 12 years old based on the timeline in season 8, but he was like 18 in real life. So it just didn't make sense. I didn't really like his character. A lot of the things that he did just felt cringe, and I don't know. I wasn't a fan of a lot of the choices they made with this character. I think he could have been a lot better if they kept him alive, but at the same time, I was okay with his death. I think you guys know that I was okay with how they did it. I wasn't at first, but then when I saw them replace his arc with Henry and Judith, I was like, okay, I'm not really against that anymore. But I don't know. I never really liked this character that much. I just haven't. Like I said, early versions of him was great. I think, especially the episode when Lori died, I thought he was incredible in that. But I don't know. There wasn't much later on in the seasons that I really liked about Carl. His whole character to me was being Rick's son. That was it. That was his only importance, was, okay, this is Rick's son. And that's like it. There's no deeper understanding to his character beyond that. I don't know. Daryl, easy S. The only season I didn't like Daryl that much was honestly season 8. I like season 8, I don't hate it, but I think that's the one season where I don't think they wrote his character all that well, because they kind of made him do things that was very out of character. I feel like him kind of being completely reckless that season, it would make sense maybe a couple seasons before, but after being the reason for Glenn's death, his recklessness causing Glenn's death, you would think he would grow from that, and he kind of did throughout season 7, but then season 8, they just like, okay, let's make Daryl reckless again. Why would he be reckless after just causing that death? It doesn't make any sense to me. I didn't like that. That held it back a little bit, but as a whole, he's still a great character. Obviously, he's definitely the main character right now. He's definitely the primary focus of the entire show. He has been, because he's a very popular character. He was supposed to be killed off early on, I think, but people love him so much, so of course he got more recognition. If I'm gonna rank him like in between the tier, I'm gonna put him right here above Morgan, and yeah, that sounds good to me. Merle's gonna be, I'm gonna go with the A tier. His redemption arc, redemption in air quotes, because it wasn't like a full redemption arc. It was kind of like a quick little thing where he was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna go out with a bang here, help them out, because I don't really want to do the ways I don't really want to live the way I've been living, basically. And I really like that thing with him. He was definitely the best part, or one of the best parts of season 3, in my opinion. So I like Merle's character. You know, obviously he's a piece of shit, but like, again, sometimes piece of shit's characters can be pretty interesting. Morales, yeah, I don't even know why I'm including him, to be honest, because we didn't really know much about him, but I'm gonna put him in like C. C is like an average tier, sort of. D's like when they start getting really not interesting, but C's like average. He was fine, I guess. I don't have much to say about him, really. Glenn is going to be in S as well. I mean, Glenn's great. Obviously, he's one of those characters that his arc was a lot different. It wasn't like he changed drastically like some of the other characters did. He kind of kept the humanity a lot more than anyone else did, probably because he never had to kill someone. He didn't kill anyone until season 6. So before that, he always was clean. He never had to kill. He killed walkers, but never killed people. So he kind of held that humanity on a lot longer than I think most people did, and I think that's kind of part of the reason why his character was the way he was for so long. But even then, even between that, they had a lot of good storylines with him. I liked him a lot in season 3, especially with the stuff with Maggie, him being kidnapped with Maggie when they were in Woodbury, and how all that played out. I really, really like what they did with him there. And then, of course, his death is, in my opinion, one of the best deaths in the entire show. It was handled perfectly, and his death has so much impact on the series to this day. Yeah, he's a phenomenal character. Dale's one that I'm gonna say probably honestly an A. Dale is one that I'm like, I really liked a lot more as time went on. Again, just like Shane, I think season 2, he made season 2 just as much as I think almost just as much as Shane did, to be honest, because he was the complete opposite side of Shane. He was the human part. He was the good part, and you know, Shane was the evil part. And I love a lot of the dialogue that Dale's character brought to that season. A lot of the kind of human arguments he was bringing. It wasn't, you know, let's kill and protect the group. It's instead, we got to do something that's just like the world before. We got to like be fair and stuff. And I actually think his death was handled perfectly. Like, he wasn't even supposed to be killed off. His comic character lasted much longer, but the actor wanted off the show because he was close with Frank Darabont, and Frank Darabont was leaving, so he was like, I want off as well. And I thought they handled his death perfectly. They fit it into the story and found a way to make it really impactful. And I absolutely love his character for that and everything he did for that season. So he was in it for a short time, but I thought he was fantastic. Andrea, kind of similar to Lori, except I agree with people more. I do think she was kind of annoying, but she's not a bad character. Like, being annoying does not mean you're a bad character. It just means you got some personality to you that I don't know. You're not very likable, because she does a lot of things like that. But I feel like that was only in like the first 2 seasons. I didn't feel that way in season 3, though. I think season 3 she was a lot better. Just because she slept with the governor does not mean she's a piece of shit. She was just being completely blindsided by his charm. Obviously, she's not gonna be able to see the horrible things about him because she never saw them. We did as an audience. So obviously as an audience, we're like, no, Andrew, don't do it. But she didn't see that stuff until way later. And I think the way they used her character in the season was actually kind of good. And I actually really enjoyed it. I found it to be entertaining. And I don't know, I liked her death as well. I'm glad they didn't give her the same characterization as the comic version, because I don't think this version would fit the same way. I think Michonne fit that much better for what they gave Michonne later on. So Andrea, I'm going to say B tier right next to Lori. She's fine. I don't have anything against her. Amy, just like Morales, I don't even know. There's not much to say about her, really. She's just there. So we'll give her C. Same with Jim. Same with Jackie. Honestly, even same with T-Dog. I'm putting all 4 of them right there. I don't know what to say about them. They were not there for that long. Even T-Dog was there for like 2-3 seasons, but he didn't do much, really. He didn't really have many scenes where you felt like you actually understood him all that well, except for maybe 1 or 2 episodes here and there. So there's not much to say about them, other than they're fine. You know, I'm not gonna put them a D because they're not like they're badly written characters or like annoying characters or characters that I just don't have any interest in at all. I had interest in them, but just they didn't give us much, so it was hard to care much when they didn't give you enough. But they gave you enough to the point where I feel like they're worthy of putting on the list. Carol, obviously yes. She, just like Daryl, she's been around for a long time. I'm actually gonna move her up a little bit because I think she deserves to get put probably right there. Yeah, that's a pretty safe spot for her. Carol is a phenomenal character. I especially like what they did with her starting in season 4. Obviously before that she was just kind of like this, I don't know, she was just, it still had some cool moments, but like never was really a character that I found that much interest in. But especially once they gave her that storyline where she killed Karen and David and had the whole thing going on with Tyrese, and then eventually had to kill Lizzie and Mika. Not Lizzie and Mika, she killed Lizzie after Lizzie killed Mika. That whole storyline in the Grove, that's when she became a great character. And then from then on out, just great stuff all the way up until I would say season 10. Season 10 is the only time where I was like, what the hell are you doing with this character? That's when they fucked her up, in my opinion. I loved her before that. I didn't like what they did with her in season 10. They made her so unbearably repetitive, where, I mean, yes, she lost another kid, and I didn't like that because we saw that happen like 5 times already. And they gave her the storyline where she was doing these stupidest things, getting people in completely awful situations just because she is out for vengeance against Alpha, which I understand why she is, but it's like too much for her character at this point in time. And they could have done a little bit with it. They went too far, and again she kept doing it, and that caused conflict with her and Daryl. I didn't like it. Season 11 though, they're saving her, they're giving her some good stuff. I think she's got some good stuff in season 11 so far. So yeah, she's still S tier. She's definitely not getting lowered because of that, but you know. Sophia, same thing as some of the other characters. She wouldn't really have much of a character. She was just kind of Carol's daughter, but her death had a huge impact on the show for Carol, so I'm gonna put her there. Ed, I mean, yeah, I'm also gonna put him on C. Like, he's a piece of shit, but his character had an importance to the show. So I'm not gonna put him in D, because D would be like he had a negative effect on the show, where I don't think he did, because I think his character had a positive effect on Carol's character. Obviously, in real life, if this was real life, it would not be a positive effect in my opinion. But for intrigue in the story, yes, him being a piece of shit made Carol a better character in the future. And I like a lot of that aspect of Carol's character. The fact that she had to deal with abuse her whole life makes her more interesting, in my opinion. Especially how she can relate to Daryl in that way, because Daryl had, you know, a past of abusive parents. So I like that. I like the whole thing. So Ed, I'm not going to put him on D, but I'll put him in C. Dr. Jenner, he was actually somewhat interesting, but we didn't really have much time with him. So it's hard to really give him anything too high because of that. I'll just throw him on C. I don't know. He didn't have much of a character either. Herschel. Oh, easy S. Easy S, man. I'm giving a lot of S's out here, but there's a lot of great characters in the early seasons. I think when we get to some of the later seasons, it's going to be a lot lower, but Herschel's easy S. He is such a great character. I'm actually going to even throw him up here because he is the bomb, man. He had some of the best quotes, some of the best dialogue, some of the best moments in those earlier seasons, especially season 4. Like, the sickness arc in The Walking Dead is probably one of my favorite arcs in the show. Especially that episode when episode 5, I think, when Herschel was like trying to take care of everyone. He was like doing all sorts of stuff. He was, you know, helping people out, and he was risking his life to do that essentially. And then that kind of led into the next couple episodes when he ended up getting killed. And that him dying was like humanity dying right there. That's literally what that symbolized, because he was the humanity character at that point in the show. So him dying was like, no, all shit's gone now, and it's game over. And that's what led everyone down to this dark path in season 4 and 5, where everyone was just like, it was just not good. And that eventually they kind of regain, you know, hope in humanity once they get to Alexandria. But that one period before that, no, they were savages. And I think Herschel's death was kind of one of the reasons for that. So love this character. Maggie, that's definitely going to be right there, even above Daryl. I wouldn't put her above Rick, but she is phenomenal. She's obviously been around probably more than like any other. She might be the most, other than Daryl and Carol, she might be the, I would say, the 3rd most frequent character. I don't know, her being gone for like a season or 2 definitely made her less frequent, but I'm glad. I wish she was. If she was in there for the Whisper War, that would have been fantastic. But unfortunately, she wasn't. Regardless, I mean, she came back and she automatically stole the show for me. Like, ever since she's been back, she has been, in my opinion, the most interesting part of the show, or at least one of the most. I would say Negan still is for me, but Maggie's like up there as well. Like, everything with her is just incredibly entertaining, and I love seeing everything they do with her. But even before that, like, everything she's been through, she's probably been the most impacted character when it comes to character deaths. I mean, she lost her family back at the farm, she lost Herschel, then she lost Beth, then she lost Glenn, then she lost, I mean, she was close to a lot of people. She gets close to a lot of people throughout the show. Enid, Tara, I don't know, a bunch of Jesus, a lot of people she loses. And then even in season 11, when she loses all this new group she finds, like, she's lost probably more than anyone else in this damn show. And the way they keep her going and keep her developing because of all these deaths, I think is what makes her such an interesting character. And I hope she makes it to the end. I'm very excited for that Maggie and Negan show. No idea what they're going to do with it, but I don't know. I like her character, so of course it's going to be important to me. Beth. Probably one of the most underrated characters in the show. I'm going to give her an A. You know what? Even higher. Even higher than Merlindale. No, not higher than Merlindale. No, it's too high. But still, underrated as hell. All right? Everyone just kind of sees her as this, girly girl who just likes to sing. But first of all, that part of her character I think is unique and fun. I like that. Like, it does add some unique level to her character where she's very different than other people because she sings. But especially what they did with her in season 4, where she was this kind of, I don't say partner, but like almost like sister to Daryl. And you kind of learn a lot about her in those episodes. And even that one episode Still, which everyone shits on, I kind of like because of how interesting her dynamic with Daryl is there. And especially you learn a lot more about her there. You don't really know much about her before that, but you learn a lot about her there. And I like that a lot. She also was kind of suicidal in season, not kind of, she was very suicidal in season 2. And I thought that arc was minor, but it was something they gave her at least to give her a character. And in the way they killed her, I wasn't always crazy about, because I didn't like that whole hospital arc itself. That was probably the one weak part about her character, but I don't know. I always liked her. I kind of wish she went a little bit longer, but her death did have great importance to Maggie, so that's good. Randall, C. He was a cool little part of the story, but I don't really care about him that much. Michonne. Michonne's gonna go an S, but where an S? That's the question. Probably above Morgan, but below Carol. I don't like Michonne nearly as much as I think other people do, but definitely at least above Morgan. But I don't think I like her more than Carol or Maggie, though. Definitely not more than these three. So yeah, Michonne's really high, though, because Michonne has also been around for quite a while, and I definitely think I prefer her older character to her newer version. Like, I like her season 3, 4, 5 a lot more than I think I do her more recent version. For no really specific reason, really. I don't know. I just found her arc to be more interesting because she went from being this very quiet and kind of to herself person who was sneaky and, I don't know, didn't trust anyone, to opening up a lot more in season 4 or 5 and eventually being, close to Rick. And I love that relationship they had between the two of them. I thought that was a really good part to the addition to the story. But I don't know, since then she hasn't really had that many big changes. I think the change from Rick's death to her being this kind of not fearless, this aggressive leader. I don't know how to put it, because in season 9 she was like very like cold-hearted might be the better word, cold-hearted leader in season 9. And I like the scenes they had with her in the Whisperer War, but I don't know. There's nothing like crazy about her compared to what they did, I think, in the first couple seasons where she was there. But then again, she still has been great all the way through. I haven't really had any period of time in the show where I haven't liked her character. The Governor, also S tier. I'm gonna actually put him like right here. Governor is fantastic, man. He's one of my favorite villains. Not the best, but one of my favorite villains. So interesting. It's crazy how these early characters are. There's so many great early characters. The Governor was introduced in season 3, of course. He had this arc where he went from like thinking his daughter was, not really thinking she was like real, but just wanting to hold on to any part of her that was somewhat alive in some way. So when Michonne ended up killing the zombie version of her, that's when he went bonkers and just wanted Michonne at that point. He just wanted to kill Michonne, but he also wanted to kill more people because he had this, thing that he really wanted, power in any way, shape, or form over any other community. Didn't want anything to get in the way of that. But I love what they did with him in season 4, where he came back, kind of just not forgetting about that show. He didn't want that anymore. All he wanted was a new family. He wanted someone to kind of connect to and feel close to, and he found this new family that did that and that all looked up to him, and he wanted to keep this group safe. He wanted a new Woodbury. So he didn't care about killing them anymore. He didn't care about Michonne. He didn't care about it. He just wanted to take the prison. And I think that whole storyline, what they did with him, was fucking amazing. And then he just loses it when he realizes he can't change, and he just kind of flips back into that governor mode where he kills Herschel, and then all that war breaks loose. And that whole episode, that's my favorite episode of the whole show, brilliantly executed. And then of course he gets killed off, and I thought his character death was perfect. Yeah, he's a perfect character. Martinez, another C. Like, there's a lot of characters I'm putting in C because they're just like, I don't really know where to put them. Characters. Milton, though. Milton actually had a character to him. I'm going to put him in B. He was fine. He was actually interesting. I don't really think there was much wrong with him. I thought he was a cool, like, science-y character that kind of played as, like, the man in the chair for the governor, but didn't really trust the governor at the same time, and also didn't really believe in his evilish ways the same way some other people in his group did. So yeah, I like him. Judith, I put her here because technically she was introduced in season 3, but because you probably can tell by now this is going in their introduction order from when they were introduced for the most part. Some of this is a little off, but yeah, we didn't really get to know Judith until season 9, because that's when she actually grew up and she actually started gaining, a personality to her. Before she was just a baby. So I'm going to kind of rank her on her more recent self. I think she's better than Carl, to be honest, but I have to see more to really make a clear judgment. So I'm going to right now just put her top of B, but she is a really fun part of the show. And what I like about her the most, especially in season 9, I think, was her little friendship with Negan that she had going on, where she was talking to Negan. And I kind of wish they did more of that. They kind of stopped that in season 10, though. They didn't really do shit. And I was like, what? They kind of gave it to Lydia. Lydia was talking to Negan, but I was like, I want the Judith and Negan shit again. Why do we stop with that? And I don't know. They just completely gave that up, and we never really saw much of it again, unfortunately. So I don't really know. It's kind of a thing that bummed me out a little bit. Oscar, another character I'm putting in C again. I don't really know much about him. It's hard to say. Axel, we actually learned a lot more about, to be honest. He had a lot of moments with Carol. I'm going to put him in B because I actually found him to be more interesting, to be honest, just based on what they gave him. Tyrese. I'm going to put Tyrese in B. I'm going to put above Lori, at least. Tyrese was a character I wish lived longer, to be honest. Not too much longer, though, just a little bit longer. I never liked his death. I thought his death episode was cool. It was uniquely shot. It was uniquely edited, but I don't feel like it had much of a place in the story, especially directly after Beth's death. You could have given it more time before doing another death like that. And like a whole episode based on just that death that didn't have that much meaning. It was just a random walker. I don't know. I never loved it. Never had a big intrigue in how they killed him off, but his character himself, especially his season 4 arc where Karen died and he went crazy and wanted to find who killed her, and eventually leading to that confrontation with Carol, where Carol said that she did it and he forgave her. Nice little moment between them. I think that was his best stuff for sure. It was in season 4. In season 5 they didn't do too much with him, but I still liked him, his character. I thought he was fun to watch. And yeah, and oh boy, we're getting our first D character here. we're getting our D character here with Sasha, unfortunately. Look, I don't hate this character, but the issue is, right, this is the issue. When you compare her character to a lot of these C characters don't get much screen time anyways, so it's not like them not being that interesting makes a difference because they're not there that much. But Sasha was in so much of the show. She had a lot of screen time, and I could never find her character interesting for like 95% of it. The only time I liked her character, I think, was in season 5. Season 5, I really liked what they did with her, where after Bob died, and even after Tyrese died, where she was just rogue, man. She was just rogue. She was like, I'll kill anyone. Like, she was like losing it. And I found that to be very interesting, especially into the end of season 5, when they went to Alexandria, and they had that one episode where they were at the dinner party, and she was like freaking out because someone was asking what she wanted to eat, and they were like, oh, I'm worried I will get you the wrong thing, and she freaked out on them. Stuff like that I really liked. After that, I don't think they did anything interesting with her, to be honest. I never really cared. They did some relationship with Abraham in season 6. I didn't like it too much. And then season 7 came around, and her character was just all about trying to kill Negan because of, you know, stuff that happened with Abraham. And I hated her death. I really did. It was, to me, kind of stupid, because it was like you took a pill because you thought that Negan made it pretty clear that he was only going to kill one person. Only one person had to die. So you took that on a technicality that he will not kill anyone else because you killed yourself. Like, you really think Negan's going to go on that technicality? He's going to be like, oh, well, I guess she kind of died, so yeah, sure, whatever. I won't kill anyone else. You think Negan gives a shit? He would kill anyone else anyways. In the end, it did help because she turned to Walker and attacked him, but she did not think it was going to go down that way. She was doing it because she thought her dying would make it so no one else would die, but that's just not what would happen, and I don't know why she thought it would. It was kind of like one of those deaths where it was like, you really didn't have to die, but okay. I don't know. I never found her character that interesting. The actress is great. She's great. I just never found her character interesting. Bob, I don't know. Bob, to me, is a C1 as well. They did a lot with him, but I never found his character to be that interesting. I like the alcoholic side of him. I like all the flaws in characters because that makes them more interesting to me. The flaws make people more interesting. So I like that, but I'm going to put him at the top of C at least. Though he's not going to get to the bottom of C. He's going to be top of C. Lizzie. Lizzie is a great character. That was, again, another character whose flaw made her more interesting. Her being just absolutely insane in season 4 led to one of the most interesting little story arcs ever. I'm actually going to put Mika just in C below because she wasn't as interesting as Lizzie, of course, but Lizzie, fuck, that was awesome. That was really good. The actress did a great job as well, and the Grove episode is great because of what happens with that and Carol having to put her down, and then it's great stuff. We got Lily here. Honestly, I'm gonna say D, just because like we didn't get much, but they kind of did this little relationship between her and, not relationship, but like little love thing between her and the governor that was kind of shoehorned in, and it's like, why did you kill her off screen when you had her have so much more screen time than Tara? That made no sense to me, because it's like Tara, I feel like, should have had that, or not Tara, Lily should have had more time after that. I don't know, maybe the actress didn't want to return, but like, you could at least showed her die or something. And I didn't like this shoehorned in love story either. It's like, you fell in love with this guy so quickly, and he looked like he was like a killer right off the bat, and I don't know, I never really loved this character in any distinct way. Tara, top of A. That might be a surprise. I think a lot of people shit on Tara unnecessarily. I always loved her. She was this comic relief character. She never had a crazy big development throughout the show, but I didn't really care because she was incredibly fun. She is the fun character. Her death sucked. They didn't give her death any meaning, any purpose. You know, of course, the Pikes themselves, that scene was phenomenal, but I mean, her death, her being on that Pikes was stupid. It always will be to me. But Tara herself, that comic relief, fun character, I mean, I miss her a lot. Probably more than any other character. I think I miss Tara more than a lot of other people, to be honest. I think she should have stayed till the end. Abraham, I'll give him right here. Okay. He was kind of similar to Tara, where he was a very fun character who definitely had a lot of characterization, especially him being just kind of hopeless after learning that there was no cure, that Eugene was lying. And I like what they did with him there. I didn't love, like I said, the thing with Sasha that they gave him, but I mean, it didn't ruin his character for me. It just was a little hiccup. I still found this character to be one of the best parts of those few seasons that he was in. Eugene, I don't know. I really don't know with Eugene, man. He's never been a character I've really liked as much as I think other people do. So I'm honestly going to give him... This is hard because there's been a lot of points where I've loved this character, but there's also a lot of points where I don't. I'm going to give him C. Not below Carl, but right there. I mean, look. Eugene is... Oh, he's an interesting one. He had a lot of good moments, I would say, especially in the early seasons. that he was in, but I hated what they did with him in season 8. I don't like that little let me make him a bad guy storyline. Like, why? There was no part of me that ever believed that Eugene would just turn to the saviors. Yeah, there was, of course, they gave him the redemption in the end. That's good, but why did he even have that turn in the first place? I mean, unless it was always a plan to do this, but that was not the case. You could tell he was conflicted, but why was he conflicted? Like, I don't get that. I know he felt like he had more of a place in that society maybe than he did in Alexandria, but like, how? These are still not good people who killed your friends. I don't know. I never liked that. It never made me care for his character anymore. It made me actually not care for his character. But ever since then, I think season 9 and 10 and 11, I think he's been fine. So it redeemed him a little bit, but that was such a bad part of his character that I think it messed him up enough for me to the point where I gotta put him in C. Rosita. I don't know. This is a hard one because I'm going to put her bottom of B. I never really found her to have that many interesting character moments, but she's also really fun to watch because she's badass and she's just cool. But like, I don't know, she doesn't have that many character traits and specific developing moments. Maybe season 10 she did, season 11 a little bit, but like before that, no, not really. Like anything before season 10, I feel like she was just kind of there. She had good moments. She was still just kind of there. Even if you go before season 6, it's like nothing. Like season 5 and 4, she did nothing. So at least onward from that, she had some stuff. But I think they still need to do more with her character, and I hope they do. I hope they don't kill her off anytime soon, at least. Joe, one of the villains of season 4. Yeah, interesting little villain. Not much to say about him other than just being an interesting villain. But I loved that episode they had where Rick bit out his throat. So I'm gonna put him on B just because, like, I don't know, at least he had something to do. I like the whole philosophy he had with like the whole claimed thing. It was a cool little group. So I'll give him B. Gareth, I'm gonna put him on the same tier actually, because I didn't give him much of a characterization. It was more of his group that I'm talking about here, where he was just, you know, cannibal who was really hungry and just didn't want to suffer being hungry anymore. So yeah, I guess he's B. I don't know. I can't give him much. It's hard to rate some characters who haven't had much of a character. You know, that's the issue. This guy, I think his name's Martin, right? I don't know. This one's a hard one too because he didn't have much screen time. I'll give him C then. Like I said, a lot of people are going to be in C if I just don't really know what else to give them. Father Gabriel, the most interesting character, or the most surprising character in the show to me, because I did not expect him to go this far into the show. But he has had some damn good moments the past few seasons. I'm going to put him up pretty high because, wow, man, they give Father Gabriel a lot in the past couple seasons. Especially ever since season 9, he has had a lot of stuff. Before that, I never loved his character. He was just kind of, again, like Rosita, just kind of there. But, I mean, ever since season 9, I think he has had such a turn in character. He's now a badass, certified badass, and he has been. And I think he has had probably the most amount of awesome moments in the past couple seasons out of most characters. I think he is one of the main characters now. He is like a top 5 character that's currently on the show. So yeah, I fucking love Father Gabriel, man. Dawn, easy D tier. I fucking hated that hospital arc, and I hate Dawn. No interest in this character. Those episodes put me to sleep. Noah, he was with that, but he was at least a little more interesting, but not by that much. So I'm gonna put him in C as well. I don't know. The only thing I like about him is that he's a dude from Everybody Hates Chris, and so that was cool to see. But he's not that interesting of a character. Aaron, I'm gonna also put him on A. He has had a lot of awesome moments the past couple seasons, along with Gabriel. Actually, a lot of his awesome moments were like with Gabriel, to be honest, which I thought was cool. But even back in season 5 and 6, they gave him a lot of screen time, and I always loved the stuff they gave Aaron. Not much to say about him other than he's just one of those characters that I think has had some of the biggest impact on the show because he introduced us to Alexandria, of course. And so, of course, that means a lot to a lot of the people. And I love, even in the Commonwealth arc now, he has a lot of stuff to do with these communities because he's so important to that idea of finding new people and, you know, bringing groups together, making deals with people. He's that talkative, like, I don't know, what do you call it? Ambassador? I don't know. Something like that, I guess you can say. And, of course, Eric, he was just kind of just his boyfriend. I don't really think he had much of a characterization to him other than being his boyfriend, but so I'll put him on C along with a lot of the other just kind of their characters. Deanna, I'll give her B. I don't really think she was anything too fantastic, but of course she had a big role in the story, so yeah, she's deserving of B. Spencer, they actually did give Spencer a decent amount, and I thought the stuff they gave Spencer was pretty interesting, but I can't really say I found his stuff to be, like... I love the episode when he died. Like, that was his best episode when he died. So, is that worthy of putting him on B, though? Because his character himself... He was just that snobby, like, sleazebag type person, but he played that character really well. So I'll put him on B. Nicholas, put him on C again, another character I don't know much about. Olivia, even Heath, I don't know. Heath is still out there. What the fuck happened to Heath, man? I don't know. Jessie, I'm gonna put on B. Just kind of mid-tier, you know, she was fine. I like that little thing they did with her and Rick, and I like her death and all that. And Pete, I'm gonna put just with her, because his part of the story, like, not really his character, but a part of the story I thought was really interesting, how he was kind of like Ed, but a little bit differently. No, I mean, I guess if I'm going to put Ed on C, I guess I gotta put him on C too, because it's like, their characters aren't that interesting, it's just the effect they have on another character is what makes that character more interesting. So Jesse was more interesting because of Pete. So yeah, I think that's a good spot for him. But I like the whole storyline when Rick came in and had to, you know, fight him, and that's a lot of problems starting Alexandria at the end of season 5 because of that. So I thought that was cool. I think got Ron and Sam. I'm honestly gonna put the two of them probably on C. Do I want to put them on D though? I don't know if I like exactly how they handled it. No, I want to put them on C. Yeah, I'll put him on C along with Sam. They were just there. Ron was mainly there to be a bit of a situation with Carl. Sam was there to kind of develop Carol a little bit, I guess, but it didn't really develop her that much. Tobin, he was a cool, like, background dude, but didn't have much development. Not enough for me to care that much. Enid, I'm gonna put her on B. I'm going through these characters now because a lot of these characters I don't really care about that much. Enid was fine, but I didn't like how they killed her off. Actually, yeah, I don't know if Enid should be in B. Did they give Enid that much? They gave her one cool moment in season 9, I think. In season 10, she died in season 9, not in season 10. Season 9, she had one or two cool moments, and can't say I really liked her that much before that, though. She was not that great. This is the wolf dude. Yeah, he's going on C. Denise? I don't know, man. Denise was, like, weird. Like, she was fine, I guess. She didn't have that much screen time, but I don't know. She was just kind of that quirky doctor. Like, you know what I mean? I like how they gave her that little thing with Tara, though. That was fine, so yeah, I'll put her there. Eastman. Was that this guy's name, Eastman? He was only in one episode, but had such a big impact on Morgan's character, so he's going in B. And his character was really interesting, too. His whole story to Morgan, like, Here's Not Here is one of those really underrated episodes. He had a lot of good stuff in that episode. So I'm going to give him B, because he was at least interesting enough to have a lot of good moments there. Now we have Jesus. This is going to be unpopular, I think. Completely unpopular. I'm putting Jesus in D. I don't like Jesus in The Walking Dead. It's the same thing as Sasha, right? Same thing as Sasha, where the only reason he's lower than the other people here is because his character had a lot more screen time, and his importance to the story should have been a lot bigger, especially based on the comic version of him. Comic Jesus is outstanding, but I could not give less of a shit about this version of Jesus. He did not have much screen time, for starters. Or not much screen time. He didn't have much to do when he was in screen. He was in screen a lot, but he didn't do much. He didn't have as many cool ninja moments as he should have. And his character was so inconsistently stupid, especially in Season 8. Don't get me started on him, but I'm going to start on him anyways. So, remember in Episode 2, I love that episode, but it's the one thing about it I don't like. Jesus was trying so hard to keep the Saviors alive, meanwhile, shooting them in the back of the head in the scene prior. He shoots them in the back of the head, gives them no chance to surrender, and then the next chance, the one that actually attacks Tara and then attacks him, he's like, no, we have to keep him alive. Like, what? Even after he just tried to attack, like, Jesus, dude. I don't like his character that much. I don't know. And I thought his death was cool, though. I love his death, but I thought this should have given him a lot of other stuff to do. I don't know. I never liked this character that much, to be honest. It is what it is. Gregory, he was really annoying. Like, almost too annoying. To the point where it felt like it was a little over the top annoying. Like, we could have toned it down a little, made it a little more subtle, made him more of a subtle douchebag, but it was like a overt, just like, piece of shit, and it was just too much. I think they could have made it a little bit more subtle. It would have been a little more interesting, but I'm gonna give him C just because, like, I don't know, he's whatever. Harlan is the doctor, right? Yeah, C. He had one episode of decent characterization, but didn't do much for me. Dwight, he feels so different in Fear the Walking Dead than he does in this show, but I liked him a lot more in this show, that I think, than in Fear the Walking Dead so far. So I'm gonna give him B. I thought he was cool. Sherry, though, I kind of don't like what they did with Sherry in Fear that much. But again, I'm only talking about the Walking Dead version. They didn't really give her much, so I'll put it there. Negan, second best character in the whole show. Finally got to my man Negan. The best parts of the past 4 seasons of the show. Ever since he was introduced, I think he's been the best part of the show. Simple as that. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, fantastic actor, and this character is just so interesting. He's very complex, he's hilarious, he's badass, he has some great moments, he has awesome chemistry with pretty much everyone in the cast. Negan is a masterpiece of a character. This top 3 right here, Rick, Negan, Maggie, those are my 3 characters that I will cherish in the show until the day I die. Negan is awesome. I love the Bat. I love Lucille. I love his little solo episode with his backstory. That was incredible. Him being a villain was great, but him being a good person is also great. The whole redemption of his character has been phenomenal. I have no issues with his character. He is amazing. Negan is love. Negan is life. Okay. Simon was also incredibly interesting as a villain, I would say, actually. I'm going to go as far as to put him on the A tier. Probably the bottom, but he's still solid. Simon played incredibly by Stephen Ogg. Really good part of those 2 seasons. Only thing I wish they changed about his character, I wish that Jadis was the one to kill him rather than Negan. I would have preferred Jadis was the one to kill him. That's all I'll say. Ezekiel, actually one of the better characters that have been introduced in the past few seasons. I'm also going to put him on A tier. Actually, I'll put him even above Simon. He's been a really good part of the past couple seasons. I love the fall of his king, or the fall of him being a king, really, and how that kind of affected his character. And then into season 9 and 10, especially with him getting the tumor and stuff, and that whole storyline has been great. I love his relationship with Carol. I think that's really solid. Him losing Henry, all that stuff was just phenomenal. Ezekiel is a great character. Him having Shiva and losing Shiva, like, all really solid stuff for Ezekiel all around. Have nothing bad to say about him, really. And I can't wait to see where his character goes from here in the show. I hope he sticks to the end. And if they do kill him off, hopefully they give him a really solid and satisfying conclusion to his character. Jerry, just like Tara, is phenomenal comic relief, but I don't like him as much as Tara. I'm gonna put him in B, probably above Milton. Sounds good to me. Why is Rosita there? Rosita should be right there. Yeah, that sounds better. Okay, but yeah, no. I really like who was I on? Jerry. Yeah, he's just, again, a comic relief. He doesn't have much of a characterization. He's just comic relief, and again, you need characters like that here and there. I don't think he's as good as Tara was, but he's there. He's definitely solid. All right, Henry. Honestly, I enjoy. That was a weird little voice thing. I enjoyed his character more than Carl, even though he was only in it for a little bit. I like the thing that they gave him and Lydia, the little season 9 thing, and I didn't love it. It killed him off, but yeah, he was fine. He was kind of annoying, made a lot of stupid decisions, but I think you needed that character to have that catalyst into the Whisper War, and I think it made sense to be him. So, I don't know. I found his character to be fine. It was kind of relatable to probably a lot of younger people, so I'm not going to put him that high, though. I'm just going to put him like top of C, because why not? Then his brother, bottom C, because he was just less interesting. Again, we didn't know much about him, to be honest. I can't even remember this guy's name. Richard, right? Richard? Yeah, I didn't like him that much. He was just kind of there. He had the little, like, vendetta against, what's it called? The Saviors, and yeah, it was cool, but he didn't live that long. Diane, I'm gonna put her there. I don't know. Again, doesn't have much of a character. Gavin, also, yeah. Jared, this is like the Gregory situation. He was almost too much. It was like you're making him too much of a piece of shit. It's like not even subtle anymore. But he did die eventually, but they took too long to kill him off, to the point where I just think the damage was done, and I think they should have killed him off a lot sooner. I don't know, maybe it did make it more satisfying, maybe because it took so long for him to die. So maybe that's a good thing. I'm gonna put him on C, just because, like, yeah, sure, I don't know. It was fine the way they did it, I guess. Sydney, they haven't given us much of her. This girl, I don't even know her name, but yeah, she the grandma, right? I really didn't like her character. They didn't have her there for that long, but she was being unreasonably annoying and making things a difficult situation that just did not have to be at all. Alden, I would have put him higher, but they gave him one of the stupidest deaths in the whole show, so I'm just gonna throw him bottom of B. I didn't think they gave him enough to make him that great. What was this guy's name right here? Fucking Jeb or something? Judd? I don't know. I'll put him in C. They didn't give him much. Jadis. I don't know where to put Jadis. I think they brought her to the World Beyond show. I haven't watched it yet, so I can't really judge it. But what I'm gonna put her C as well. I don't know. She wasn't that interesting, but she was just there. Sadiq. I think killing him off was a mistake, but I'm also just gonna put him in C. I didn't find him that interesting. Lydia, I'm gonna put her in B. Probably around. I want to see more from her. That's the thing. She needs more. I really like a lot of things they did with her in Carol, but they gotta give her more. No, actually, I'm gonna put her in A. I'll put her in A. I think she's had a lot of good stuff, like I said, especially with Carol, and even a couple of things with Negan here and there. I thought that was cool. Obviously, let's just pair that with Alpha. Alpha is also going to go up here in A, and Beta is going to go probably right next to them, all in A. Also had a decently interesting character. The whole Whisper stuff was cool. I didn't love the Whisper War and how that was handled, but I thought them as characters was great. And then we got Magna's group, and then the animals. I'm not doing the animals, like I said. Magna, I just haven't been finding that interesting so far, unfortunately. So I'm only going to put her in... they got to give her more. I don't know. They got to give her more. Yumiko, though, has been surprising the shit out of me lately. So I'm actually going to put her in A. That might be a big, like, jump and a surprise, but she's been having a lot of interesting stuff in season 10, or in season 11. In season 10, she has some cool stuff too, but season 11 especially. I really like Yumiko. Connie, I think people do put her on a higher pedestal than I personally would, only because she's, you know, cute and adorable and stuff. But like, again, I need more than that. So I'm just gonna put her in B, because she does have some cool stuff to her. I think her being deaf does make her more interesting, because there are interesting things they can do with her because of that, especially like in season 11, episode 6. But I don't think she has the most interesting personality in the world compared to some other characters. So I'm just gonna put her in B for now. And then Kelly, her sister, I'm gonna say probably C. She's had some interesting moments, but nothing like groundbreakingly interesting. And then Luke also is gonna be in C. They haven't given Luke shit. I think he's been filming some other shows, so I can't really judge too much. And that's about it. I'm gonna clean this up a little bit. I'm honestly gonna remove all the characters that I don't really have a strong enough opinion on, just so I can like make it so it's just the characters I actually have a strong opinion on. So it's gonna be a lot of these C tier characters. Okay, so I obviously now have a better list of these characters. I kind of put them in a somewhat of an order as to, you know, which ones I like more than others, and kind of got rid of the ones that I didn't really have that strong of an opinion on. So I just wanted to, you know, clear some of the clutter up a little bit. But I'm going to add the rest of the characters from season 10 and 11. There's not too many characters from those 2 seasons that I find to be, you know, that important enough to include on this list, but I have a couple here. I'm going to start off with Gamma. So Gamma, I'm going to say on the C tier. I didn't find her to be the most interesting character in the world. I thought she was a cool little part of season 10. I thought she was a cool addition, but they didn't do much with her past that, so not really much to talk about there. We have Dante. I'm going to put on B. I actually do like the Dante twist. I was surprised by it. A lot of people weren't. I was, so I kind of liked that idea and kind of how it was executed. Virgil, I'm going to put on C. I don't find him that interesting, at least so far. Maybe they'll give him more in the future. Maybe they can make him more interesting. Not too sure, but we'll have to wait and see on that. We have Leah. Leah, of course, is this new character that was introduced with their whole Reaper storyline, that little thing with Daryl that she had going on. I like her more than I think other people do. To be honest, maybe I like the actress more than I like the character herself, but she was fun to watch. It's fun to see what was going on with that, and I hope they do more with her, which I think they are doing more with her. Actually going to put her on the bottom of B. So, I don't know. I think that's a decent placement for her. I also have, of course, Lucille. I'm going to put on B as well, only because her character was incredibly important for Negan's characterization. So, of course, I have to include Lucille at least somewhere higher than C, because her character is really important to one of my favorite characters ever. Princess, so far, C. I don't know. Don't like her that much so far, but she's not terrible. She's just, I don't think she's that entertaining beyond some of the other characters in the show. Mercer, I'm going to put on B tier so far, along with Lance also on B tier. They're both probably the best Commonwealth characters thus far. Again, we're only at episode 13 now, so there's gonna be more there, but as of right now, B tier sounds good. And then of course we have Pope. I didn't really like him as a villain. I'm honestly gonna put him on D. I found him to be really cool in terms of his voice and a lot of that side of him, like his performance and the look of him as well. But the whole religious stuff and the way they wrote this character, I just couldn't care less about, man. He was one of those villains that just likes to kill his own people, which we see way too often, and I was kind of just sick of villains like that because they're not very interesting. I don't believe these people would follow him the way they do. I do like how Leah, killed him, but beyond that, he wasn't that interesting. He was only there for a few episodes anyways, but I did not really like Pope. We have Elijah. I'm going to put him on C. He's not that interesting so far, but he could be in the future. Hopefully, he will be more interesting in the future. And last but not least, well, actually, I guess last, but two other characters who are also not that interesting, Pamela and Max, or Stephanie, fake Stephanie, which is actually Max. Well, no, fake Stephanie was the other one. This is another fake Stephanie. Whatever. It was the real Stephanie, but her name is actually Max. She's going on C, along with Pamela Milton. These are all characters that could get a lot better as the show goes on in season 11, but as of right now, I'm just going to give them C tier. So that's going to do it for this video. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I will see you guys on my next one. Peace out.